Well, he's coming off a big win at Central Arizona Raceway's Harvest Hustle Turkey Classic in Casa Grande in the Friesen Performance IMCA Modified. It's piloting car number 73T, Chris Tuchscherer, out of Burlington, North Dakota. Yes, the Crowbar, the former UFC MMA fighter. He's here to talk about his start in racing, his return to stock cars after about 20 years, as well as the wrestling mentality that he took as a wrestler as well as a fighter into racing and how it's very similar. That and more coming up on the Beyond the Flags podcast. But before we get to the interview, make sure wherever you're listening or watching from, you hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. Well, coming to us from frigid and cold Burlington, North Dakota, Chris Tuchscherer. Chris, it's great to have you on the program. You and I, I've seen you race the IMCA TV Winter Nationals last couple years. Actually got a chance to hang out with you a little bit during the Dakota Classic Modified Tour and catch up with you. Really looking forward to chatting about you and some racing.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, first of all, last weekend, pretty successful outing for you at the Harvest Hustle Turkey Classic at Central Arizona Raceway in Casa Grande. I was there the week before, so I missed you, but it seemed like I was looking at the starting lineup, especially for the modifieds. It's like, holy smokes, this is like a local show, like at Minot or Dakota Speedway. There's a lot of northern flavor there.
Yeah, there sure was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, you had Spencer Wilson down there, and some other guys from North Dakota. So, and all good guys too. The guys that run pretty good.
Well, and it's a recently reconfigured track, and obviously a lot different track than what has ever existed there. But you seem to have a really strong weekend. Pulling some double duty off, obviously running your Friesen Performance IMCA Modified, but then getting behind the wheel of a Sunoco IMCA Stock Car. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, it just seemed like you guys had speed and were able to adapt to the big changes, especially a wall being there.
Yeah, and unfortunately last year I never got to race down there on that track. So that's the first time I've been on that track. So Friday night was the first time I've been on the track, and I've heard some things from guys who raced it before that, it's quite a bit changed. It's not as wide as the track, but good things about the track. So I was kind of excited to get on there and check it out. And it's like no other track I've been on before. Obviously, like in North, I've been on pretty much every track in North Dakota, and it races a lot different. So it was interesting trying to get things in line there, for that first night.
Well, and it's a 3/8, billed as a 3/8, but it's kind of a big track that races like a small track a little bit. I don't know if you'd agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. 1 and 2 are tight cornered, and then 3 and 4 is more of a swooping corner, and the front straightaway is it's kind of oblong shape, I guess. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a very cool track. I feel like Brad and those guys, the work they're putting into that, and the track was really racy. Both nights, and I used to be on the board in Minot, North Dakota for Nodak Speedway last year, and did some track work, and I understand that how much work goes into trying to prepare a track. That a lot of guys that race, they don't understand that, and you got a lot of guys that maybe want to complain about this and that and this, but they don't realize how much work goes into a track and how much work these guys put into the track to try and make it racy.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree. One of my best friends, renowned track prep guy here in the Pacific North, in the West Coast, and it's a science to do it, and then it can be a crapshoot too, because it's like farming, right? You can do all the right things and do all the right steps, and then you're at the mercy of the weather sometimes. It being heat, wind, water, you name it, it can throw a curveball at you.
Yeah, you can never have a same track. You get it dialed in one week, and Mother Nature's the boss, and whatever she decides is going to happen, you can try and just try and make it be the best you can, but sometimes it's out of our hands, you know.
No doubt. And I'm glad you brought up Nodak Speedway. That quickly has become one of my favorite tracks to watch on the IMCA TV replay subscription. And I really enjoyed my time there this summer. And I was so impressed with, they put like a pop-up show on, what was it, that's the Saturday that was supposed to kick the tour off in Jamestown, but that rained out. And they got some weather, but the race was, 2 hours or something to have I think, close to 100 cars. And the racing was fantastic. It was side by side, and that place reminds me of a incredible example of a big 3/8 mile, but it races like a third mile or a quarter mile.
Yeah, no, they've really done a lot of work at that track, and it shows. The guys there that run that track are they do a hell of a job, and that was probably, I would say, out of all the North Dakota tracks I raced this year, Fargo, Jamestown, Mandan, Williston, Dickinson, that was the premier track of the year in my eyes. Every night it was good racy track, and they put a lot of work into it, and it paid off.
Yeah, and then they had to switch gears into normal mode. They had their tour night on Sunday with more cars, and you'd think, man, the track's probably going to take a beating surface-wise, and that was far from the truth. Like, it was just as good, if not better, from the night before. Yeah,
for sure, I agree.
Well, and you got to win there also on May 19th, and to win at Nodak and to win really anywhere in North Dakota, and even Estevan as well. I roped that together in the North Dakota scene. It's kind of a big deal because there's some hitters, whether they're on the east side racing Fargo, or they're on the west side or the central part of the state. There's just a huge wealth of talent from that North Dakota, Saskatchewan region that are some hitters.
Yeah, no, you're definitely a hitter on the nail there. I think some of the guys that race up here, I mean, you could put them anywhere, and they're gonna run in up top with any of the guys, anywhere. So that's totally true. And yeah, to have a win that night. There was a couple nights where I was lead and kind of stepped on my what, and but I think overall I finished. I was runner up at the track that year, and Stephen Pfeiffer was a champion, but me and him, kind of had some little battles here and there, and it's awesome to be able to race against a guy that's been racing for 20-some plus years and as much knowledge he has, that kind of race with those guys and know that I can do my thing too.
Yeah, no doubt. And you got
and then you got Travis Hagen up there. I mean, just the list goes on for guys that I put those guys on a track anywhere and bet money on them,
Oh yeah, I was going to mention, Travis is solid. The Turnbulls, whenever they show up or wherever they're racing at, there's some tough customers. Marlon Zeidler is like ageless.
Strand.
He's still good. Yeah.
Strand, Spencer.
Strand was really good at the showdown they had the week before you were there.
Yep.
It's so cool to see that, they'll run their local scenes, they'll run Red River or they'll run Dakota, just Jamestown. Then they come together for a big show, whether it be the tour or Motor Magic. And it's some incredible stuff. And it's healthy too. You got, some of the younger guys coming up or have came up, Tate Johnson and Brady Biela also in the mix.
Oh yeah. Those guys are coming up, younger guys coming up, and they're right in the mix there too, aggressive on the track, and it's fun on any night, any track. It's good competition, that's for sure.
So, former track champion at Williston Basin Speedway back in 2005 in the Sunoco IMCA Stock Car division, and now back in the Stock Car. Is that going to be kind of just a every now and then deal, or what are your plans with that? I know that you had a really good run on the last night at Casa Grande last Saturday.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's been almost 20 years now, pretty much 20 years now since I've been in a stock car. And, I just, over the last couple of years, you see a couple of guys that are jumping in a stock car and, and I've always thought, well, that'd be kind of cool to get back in one of those. Cause I did race good back in the day and I raced pretty good in mine. That's also with the stock car. And then I ended up moving away from there and moved to Fargo, raced a Midwest mod for a few years down there. And then I ended up, anyways, another story. But anyways, I suppose a couple months ago, Ryan Satter had a car they got for sale and I just got a hair up my ass and I went and bought a stock car. And when I pulled it home, I kept thinking to myself, what the heck did I do here? But it's a good car, and he told me it's a good car, and he had good luck with it. So I was excited to get in it, and didn't do much of the car. I just kind of scaled it with him in there and kind of scaled it with me in there, and we kind of got it close to where he was at. And we just said, oh, let's just go down and give it a heck on it. And I went to Vegas, and I think I had a 5th place win in Vegas. And so I had a pretty good run in Vegas too with it, first time out in it. And then I just pulled my stuff to Arizona from there. And lucky enough, Spencer Wilson's got a nice place down there that let me park my stuff there, and then came back for this weekend of racing. And no, I'm having good luck with the car again. It's kind of one of the things that, it's like once you ride a bike, you get back in her and here we go again,
Sure. And
it's depth.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's such a fun class. I mean, track to track, a lot of people say the stock cars are so fun. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but one of the guys in your backyard that's really fun to watch, despite all the years he's been doing it, he's still got it, is Jordan Boyce.
Yeah, exactly. Old Jordan. Yeah, he sure does got it. Yeah, he's kind of a legend around here.
yeah. The Kawasaki green and the immaculate hairstyle, just like it's just totally, it's all American. That's for sure.
Yeah, the stock car, it's a different animal, for a mod though. But what I do like about it is, it kind of, when we get to race the stock car before the mods, it kind of gives you a sense of where the track's at, and I feel like it gives the guy a little bit of an edge because you kind of know what you're going out to where when you're in a mod, you just, you can see what the track looks like, but you just don't have that feel for it. So it's kind of, that's kind of a cool thing about it too.
From the car that you have now to obviously the one that you used to race when you won the championship at Williston in those days, it's quite a bit of a difference. Was there a bit of a learning curve, or was it pretty much base what you were used to driving that type of division?
Yeah, and I can't think of what it was like back in it, but I know it's a lot different. The changes are unbelievable different. It's just, it's totally a different animal from back in the day. I can tell that, but it definitely is fun.
No doubt. Well, how did the whole...
But it's definitely a lot of work.
Yes, I was going to say, it's either double the pleasure or double the punishment. So...
Yeah, double the tires. That's just...
Yeah, exactly.
You need a couple guys there. You ain't going to do that yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was just curious, how did the whole racing bug bite you, and how'd you get your start driving?
Well, years ago when I was younger, I used to derby, and and then I actually used to run a bomber, years ago. And then, I don't know, me and my dad just bought a stock car one time and decided to race stock car. And my dad worked on it all the time. And I was actually at one time living in Fargo, driving back and forth to Williston. My dad would work on the car all year, all week. And then I'd come back and race on the weekends, So my dad kind of kept it going. And, so went from that, and then I ended up moving to Fargo, and then after a few years, I bought a Midwest mod and raced that for a while, and then And then I decided to take off with my fighting career, so I decided to do the MMA stuff and end up making it pretty high up in the. I mean, I actually made it into the UFC, so I actually had to quit fighting because I started quit racing because I started fighting full time. You know, and that career took off for about 6 years, and then ended up getting married and moving back to Minot, and then here about 4 years ago, here we are racing again.
Man, that's crazy going from Fargo to that's like coast to coast pretty much on as far as like state line to going from the Montana state line to going to the Minnesota state line.
Yeah, sure. One way. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things that in one of our conversations we had, I think it was at Dickinson at Southwest during the tour, that me being a wrestling guy, a wrestling coach and stuff, once upon a time, we'll just say, is that mentality, right? That mentality to win and dig deep and
absolutely.
And, racing is so, I've said this, and here I am talking to a former UFC fighter, is such a brutal sport that the only thing I could think of is MMA, because you don't know when the breaks are going to go your way. You don't know when the wins are going to stop, and you just have to believe in faith and have faith. Just work hard, keep honing your craft, and good things will happen. And it's kind of people that aren't from that culture, I guess, are like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But like, trust me, when you're on a losing streak, I know wrestling isn't as brutal as MMA. It's like, oh my, it's very humbling. You could be,
for sure.
You could go out, win a tournament, no problem, skate through your bracket, and then the next day lose to a first-year freshman. It's just,
exactly.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Through life, it gives you that. It makes you have that competitive nature to where, winning at something is just, it's the winning part of it is what is the biggest thing to me, So anytime a guy can do good, I'm not out there to try and make all this money. I'm just out there to race because it's my competitive nature to just try and win,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some guys on the IMCA TV crew, they were noting that, we're at an event, we're cruising through the event, we're at the restaurant, I'm writing a story for IMC.com. I get to the Airbnb, I'm doing book work, I'm getting my notes prepared for the night. It's like, man, why are you working so hard? And I told them, my coach, when I was a freshman, told me a story, and I think it was Dan Gable. He had just won the Olympics, and his roommate is in the hotel, and he hears like this kind of anguish and pain coming out of the bathroom, and he opens the door, and there's like a steam shower going on and jumping rope, and he had just won the gold medal, and he's counting the drops of sweat off his nose and everything. And he's like, what are you doing? You just won the Olympics. And he's like, somebody out there is trying to beat me. Now, I'm not saying someone's trying to, knock me off the perch, but it's stay sharp, because you never know when stuff happens in life. And that's a lifelong lesson that I learned many, many, many years ago. And I put that in my work ethic.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hear you, man.
And your boys,
sure.
They're doing wrestling, doing good, I hope.
Yeah, they are. I got actually 3 boys that wrestle, and it's awesome. They're doing really well in wrestling, and it's a good feeling to watch them kind of follow the same steps that I follow, so it's very exciting when it's wrestling season that I get tuned into that, and I enjoy it very much.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely a sport. It's a sport that I realize in life that you can have friends and you can have allies, but there's a lot of times where you got to sort things out yourself. There isn't a 300-pound linebacker or a guard, that's going to put a block to save your life. You're going to have to face, an animal by yourself, but it's just you and him.
Yeah, I got a daughter that plays basketball too, and she's, how popular women's wrestling is getting to be. I wish I wish that we could go back a few years and have her wrestle, because she's really aggressive on the basketball court, and it's like, God, I wish if she could have wrestled, like, what would she be like now?
Sure, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great point you bring up, is like college women wrestling is like on the rise now, which is great because it's bringing back the programs that were cut. I'm not saying that Title IX is a bad thing or anything, but because of funding and Title IX issues, like they had to cut things, and unfortunately wrestling was on the chopping block decades ago. But now, slowly but surely, a lot of them are coming back, and it's a great sport for women and girls to get involved in, because but it is intense. It's just as intense as the guys. So,
for sure. Yep.
Well, and I'm sure maybe Brock Lesnar is thinking about maybe if the clock was running back a little bit, because his kid is a heck of an athlete, but I think in like track and field. But I mean, as a wrestler, holy smokes, I would be terrified to go up against her.
Yeah, for sure.
All it would be just one head snap, and I'd probably get knocked out by my face hitting the mat. So. Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cocopah Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Drivers Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of a replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. 73T for you. What's the inspiration behind that number and letter combination?
There really wasn't. My football jersey was 75, and I can't even remember why I picked that number, but the T obviously is for Tuchscherer.
Okay.
I don't know. Me and my dad kind of came up with that number, and I don't know if it was more his idea. I can't remember that back. So. Okay.
Fair enough. And talking to you before we went live over the air, you said it was -2, but it felt like -20, right? You had some pretty big gusts up there by Minot.
Yeah, 40-mile-an-hour winds today. So.
Yikes. And I was complaining that it was 28 here, 28 and like frozen fog. I mean, so
yeah,
cold is cold though. So
yeah,
but yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. For folks that have never been to Burlington, I know I rode with Nick H, the voice at Nodak Speedway during the tour, and he pointed out where your place was, where you do great work. Burlington's just to the west on, what is that, 2 of Minot?
Yeah, west of Minot, just a couple miles. You wouldn't even really know. You'd feel like you weren't even out of town, but so that's right next to Minot.
That's got to be a good setup though. Like you're away from the city, but you're close to the city, so you're not in the hustle and bustle and the rat race.
Yeah, and I own a business north of Minot, and it all works out good.
Okay. For people that have never been to that area of the country, things that you and the family like to do, or good places to eat, or good sights to see. I mean, any recommendations?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, there isn't that great many places in Minot to eat, but I mean, you got Longhorn Steakhouse, and they're beating a few more restaurants in town. But I'm a steak guy, so I'm usually at Longhorn Steakhouse.
Okay. Yeah, Nick told me Nick and Jordan highly recommended Shots Crossroads, and we went there one night.
Oh yeah, that's a really good place too for breakfast and late night stuff after the races. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Beater was like moving tables and like had like 4 waters, and he was like the assistant hostess for a minute there. So,
yeah.
But yeah. Well, cool. Well, are we going to be seeing you for the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Casa Grande this, about a month, I guess, almost less than a month?
Yeah, you bet. That's the plan, is to get down there and do that. I did it the last couple of years, so I had a blast. I'm excited to do it at, Central Speedway there.
Yeah.
Should be a little different,
Yeah, I think it'll be a good type of different. I think the racing will be good. And if any indication of last weekend and the showdown combined together, it's going to be a great time, and it's looking like car count's going to be great, and it'll be a fun time, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
People and individuals that you would like to thank that have made everything possible. Obviously, it takes a lot for you to be gone away on out-of-state visits, or even racing locally. It takes a lot of family support, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears just to maintenance your program, but also funding from great sponsors. Any individuals or businesses you want to thank real quick?
Yeah, I'd like to. First off, I got an awesome wife that lets me lets me race. It helps me get away from my business and just kind of some time away to enjoy things. And that's my hobby. Racing is my hobby. I don't own boats. I don't have lake cabin. Racing is my thing. When I get to go racing, I can forget about everything. She lets me do that. She knows how busy I am with my business, and so I'm very thankful for that. And as far as sponsors, I have some great sponsors: LG Seed, Nutrien, D&B Oil. I have obviously my 2 businesses sponsor me: Optimax Solutions and Tuchscherer Ag Services, and what else we got? That's about it for sponsors, I guess. But I have a lot of people that support me, as far as always wondering how it's going, and that's kind of cool.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate the time. I know that being a dad, especially of kids in sports, it's a busy time, especially, with the holidays coming up and the schedule gets very congested. But I appreciate you taking the time for this interview, Chris. I look forward to seeing you in about 4 weeks' time, and hopefully sports go good for the kids and the boys are doing good in wrestling, and you guys have a safe Christmas holiday as well as a good New Year's.
Yeah, you too, buddy, and hopefully run into you at Winter Nationals for sure.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions.